We've got the man in the room now.
Yeah.
I've never really watched a podcast with him with two ladies facing him.
Ooh.
And I saw in all the press,
Yeah.
he's like, I've had to defend him because I know him very well.
Yeah.
He's a misogynist, he's that, he's this. Have you ever seen an issue with him? I want to know, as a woman. Now you're on the camera.
Yeah.
This is going to go out.
Go on, tell the world I'm horrible.
You're going to both have your opportunity.
Yeah.
From everything you've seen, edited, non-edited.
Yeah.
What was your issue or what's your non-issues
Well, the
with him?
first time I saw
Be
you
honest.
speak on something, I remember I wasn't really watching the TV. I just heard it in the background. It must have been on my phone. And I heard you say something. And I was like, is that guy Pakistani? And then someone was like, no. I was like, he's definitely Pakistani. You were saying something that was very familiar for me. I'm Pakistani. So I was like, he must be. And then I found out you grew up in Luton. So I was like, that makes sense. Everything he says, I'm so familiar with it. I would expect nothing less. The men I'm around would think exactly the same way. So I don't find it shocking or misogynist. I'm raised like that.
Do you agree with it? That's not about what you're used to now. I'm asking with what his stance is.
Yeah.
Do you agree as a woman? Because he gets a lot of backlash, but he made a good point.
Yeah.
I've been around him nearly every day sometimes.
Yeah.
I've never seen a woman in public come and say something bad. So
Right.
I want to know, who are these women? Is it a movement? I want to know, because I've never seen anyone say it to me.
I would say one thing. I would say sometimes it can be divisive. Like what we're saying, nice guys finish last, but sometimes nice girls do. And I think let's try and remove the division and focus on society rather than just men have this really bad. I get men have it really, really bad. But society is shit. Women have it bad in some ways, men have it bad. I think women are becoming more and more detrimental. I think that, but it's not really entirely their fault. It's the way society is now structured. So I think let's try and less this division and more how do we fix this, because I want to see families. I want to see, and sometimes what happens is it's not you, but your followers. I always say your followers are this loser guy who's never had options, who now starts saying, "Fuck women," and it's like, but you haven't earned that status. You can't speak like that because you haven't done the legwork it
She's
takes.
dissing the war room, bro. She's dissing your Hustlers University, bro.
No. I get they're putting in the work though. They're in some way putting in the work, but it's the guy with not putting in the work who's just listening. The problem is when your message lands on men without money, they can't. It doesn't land properly because they're just saying, "I want lots of women. I want lots of hoes," but it's like you can't fund those women and you can't get those women to submit to you, so you can't emulate Andrew Tate, but you want to, and so that's where we need to kind of educate them. In order to have your views, they have to have your lifestyle.
Valid.
Yeah.
That's very valid. And I feel like I do say it a little bit, but I need to say it more. But
Maybe.
I say repeatedly that if you're
I
not,
hear
if
you
you're not
say
a top
it.
tier male,
Yeah.
you can't. Life sucks. And I agree with you about the
Yeah.
divisive thing as well.
Yeah.
The only reason some of it comes across divisive, I think, is because a lot of the time, especially in America, I'm arguing against rabid feminists, right? So I'm trying to say, look, blah, blah, blah. But no, that's valid points.
So that's the only issue.
Well, that's the only issue for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, Lubna, it's good you actually met. Lubna's the one who wrote an article backing us when we were doing that event here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as an Arab lady here, it was very good, empowering, because I've noticed one thing: the Western women don't like to feud with Arabic women who are educated. I've noticed that they fear them.
Yeah.
Like with Lubna, when she posts, I see her comments. There's not really anyone going against her with me. It's like, "F you, you're this, you're scum. You've got a wife in a picture there without hijab. Your kids are this." Like I get this abuse because But
that's ridiculous.
Lubna, what was your issue with his whole cancel? Did you have an issue? What was your issue with Dubai in itself, or some Middle Eastern pockets of Middle Eastern women, this new generation, having an issue apparently online?
Look, I think that for you to be as famous as you are today, you had to do things in a certain way. You had to be extra controversial, and now you got here. I think the reason a lot of the women were pissed off because it's kind of like you're just turning in the knife. You know what I mean? Telling them like, "Ooh, we can do this. Like we've got and you can't. So I think now that you do have that platform, you can actually be really helpful to a lot of women. Like I think a lot of women do agree with a lot of things that you said, and men, but they don't necessarily like the delivery because it's just a little bit like kind of like pissing off.
But it's an amazing platform to create because you won't believe how many racist little white boys are now saying, "I want a Muslim girl, I do. I want a," and I'm like, "Ooh, look, you've completely eradicated Islamophobia." And it's something like Mo Salah did for a little while in Liverpool. Like they really actually became, and I think anything that, from my perspective, anything that can draw light to a faith that I feel really passionate about, I'm always grateful for whoever shines a torch on that. So
I won't even say it's young white boys, because if you go to Russia, the men are same as me, same as us, like Russia, East Europe. These kind of places, they're very alpha male, they're very old school, traditional.
Very
I think it's the
traditional,
Western, real
so
Western
Islam comes
pockets.
naturally to alpha men. It kind of is a natural transition because it teaches alpha kind of behavior anyway.
Like I know people like this, little dislike this, but Vladimir Putin. A lot of people have a negative thing. I see him as a very powerful and influential man. I respect him.
Yeah.
And people say, oh no, I don't. See, people run around and watch the press, how they take it, and the media portrays everything. But if you really study the situation, I respect him as a leader.
Yeah.
I've been to Moscow many times. Crime's quite low. It's organised mafia kind of thing.
Yeah.
You won't see stabbings and acid attacks. Women are safe. It's still traditional.
Women are really well treated in Russia, like
You have
Dubai.
an issue, you have an issue with your wife. You can call the wife's father. He comes and fixes it. You don't go to a therapist. When she goes, leave him. You're free. You're free. Left therapy. Pay me more money. The man's evil. You know, that's why I hate therapy.
Yeah.
I'm being honest. I know you're a therapist, but
Yeah.
to an extent in the West,
Yeah.
you know. So I think it's not just the white race. It's pockets of the country where, like you said, this agenda's being pushed. US, UK.
Yeah, but these are
modern
completely
societies.
failed nations. They're completely failed society. If you look at by any metric you can measure a society, whether it's birth rate, crime rate, happiness index, safety, like literally anything you can name, these societies are failing daily. They're getting worse. They're decaying empires on every single level, and it's no coincidence that obviously the men and women aren't acting right, and that's all messed up. It's actually it's kind of funny for me because every time I meet women who are attractive physically, they're like, oh yeah, Andrew, he's not a big deal to that. The women who hate me are whenever you show when someone does a video on Andrew Tate, I can look at the thumbnail and go, she likes me. She's hot.
Yeah.
She's fine.
But do you know what?
Hotties love me. It's always some troll.
But do you know what it is? Attractive women get an insight into a lifestyle that unattractive women are unaware that
And
even
they don't
exists.
understand.
So when they
That's
say things like, "Oh, we spend and we look after our women," they've never accessed that, so they think that's misogyny. And it's like, no, honey, it's amazing. Trust me.
Yeah.
So they don't understand what it looks like, and therefore they come at it with negativity. But I do think appearance plays a role, both men and women. When I see red pill men that hate women, it's always a guy on computer games and this and the other. Whereas when I see people like you who actually, you can tell you love women, regardless. And part of being an alpha man, you love women.
We love good women.
Love good women. Yeah, you love good women. You can tell you guys love women. There's no hate towards women. It's just this is how life is. But when you meet the people that hate men or that hate women, it's because they've faced a lot of rejection. Yeah. And the best way to deal with rejection is to minimize the thing that's rejecting you. So they end up just hating the opposite.
And that's it. And I also understand what you're saying also about some of my fans can misunderstand what I say.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. I understand that,
but it's okay. You know, same with anybody's.
I mean, when I wrote the article, honestly, like the article is called "What's So Wrong About Andrew Tate," and a lot of people were like, you know what? We thought we were gonna get pissed off by the end of the article, but we actually really liked it. Like, we don't really like Andrew, but now we're kind of like, okay, he's not pissing us off as much.
Yeah.
How do you feel about being so famous at the moment? Does it feel
you've
great?
survived cancellation.
Yeah, how
You've
does it
survived
feel
cancel
being
culture.
famous?
Saying that guy's got a sniper bullet in that
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
just spoke-
how does it feel being that? Because the thing is, most people who become famous usually through a sport or which you did, but maybe sport or acting. So there's a long way coming to it. When it's social media, it can be overnight.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's a good question. In regards to people disliking me, like you're saying, getting to the end of the article, not really disliking me. In my experience, I've never had a single person see me in person and say a single bad thing ever. Every single man, woman, everyone just is positive. There's some lifestyle changes. I don't go out the house very much. It's a bit of a headache.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it to become famous like that.
Yeah.
But I do feel a massive responsibility. Like when I was saying a lot of my more crazy things, I was saying the same ideas in a more crazy way. But now I understand with a much larger platform, you must be responsible with it. And even like you were saying about fans taking things out of context, etc. So I try and be a little bit more responsible with it while not selling out and getting my point across.
Of course.
I just feel a sense of responsibility mainly.
Well, you're in a position where you can actually create homes in people's lives now. Yeah, and so with that, you can actually make a really important difference.
Yeah, I didn't set out to change the world, but I kind of feel like I'm
You're
getting
here
there.
now.
Yeah, so I have to be very careful.
more pressure on you.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
You're here now,
you have to be
mate.
very careful with what you say, but this is why I push the idea of masculine excellence. And when I do say things like, Big G can do what he wants, I'm talking about Big G. I'm not talking about dude. I'm talking about dude.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of emails. I get over 10,000 emails a day, and I get emails from people going, I'm just a normal guy. What do I do? And like, then you're a normal dude. You can't play by the rules we're even discussing.
Just live a normal life. Just live a normal life.
Live a normal life,
yeah.
right? Yeah, and he goes, well, I don't want this life. I said, well, then you have to become an important man, and it's exceptionally difficult to do. But that's That's the road
But you
that
know
has
what?
to be
I would
trodden
always
for men.
argue that there's so much beauty in having a normal, simple life, because those without options tend to be more satisfied with what they get. It's kind of like when you go to a restaurant, there's so many options, you don't like whatever.
Yeah.
But when it's a home-cooked meal, just one meal, you're always more satisfied. So people without options are actually in a privileged position. You don't have to try and be this person. It's not always greener. Being limited means that you're more satisfied. So enjoy it.
In many ways, yes, I completely
Yeah,
agree. But
but
that's,
well,
again,
yeah.
again, that's harder with society.
It's easier said than
social
done.
media,
Yeah,
and
it's easier
The
said than
pressure that's on men is immense. The
Yeah.
pressure, like I said earlier, for the things people expect out of
Yeah.
a man are immense.
Awful.
And most men, I'm not even just talking about from a sexual perspective. You can look at it from an entire societal perspective. Most men are incapable of doing what society expects of them.
Yeah.
Women go to men and say, "We have a problem here," and men will say, "Okay, don't worry, I'll fix it." The man doesn't have a fucking clue how to fix it. He ain't got any money. He ain't got any friends. He's a
Yeah.
brokey, but his chick needs
Yeah.
a fix. So he's like, "Oh shit, how do I fix it?" He can't sit there and go, "Dunno, babe, you fix it," because then she'll leave.
Yeah,
so
she'll
like
leave.
the pressure on men
Yeah.
in
She
all
won't leave straight
spheres-
away, but she'll definitely leave.
Oh, sooner
Yeah,
or later.
she'll definitely.
You're right. So you got to be that guy, and it's like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what it is. You wouldn't believe. Tam will confirm it. When you're like the top tier in your life, you end up being the top tier of not just your relationship, but almost like a clan. Like I have almost 100 people who will come to me with their biggest problem.
Yeah.
I know 100. I can name 100 people right now. If they got arrested or if the worst thing happens, they get one call. Tate, right? Yeah, and you end up having to be this guy who can do everything.
You
Like
would
whether they
definitely
need
be
a
that guy.
vaccine passport or you got to get them out of jail in Russia or they need $1 million. You're like,
Yeah.
whoa. So you end up being this guy, and if you're not the kind of guy who can fix a bunch of problems, you soon, especially women, they'll be fast. Women will come to you and go, "Oh, this," and you're like, "Oh, I'll fix it." If you're like, "Oh, I don't know," bro.
I think it's also so competitive, you know, and you can never show weakness. Like, you always need to be strong. It's like, you know, sharks in the water. Like, if they smell blood, like, khalas, you're done. Especially in the world of business, Andy. There are so many men who are so successful, but yeah, haram, the amount of pressure that they're under.
Yeah.
These guys are like popping Xanax pills like they're,
And I'm
you
not
know,
gonna lie, and it's
Panadols.
different. And this is, I don't even show him. I get DMs from him, and like you said, I get these requests. People think I'm a sheikh and stuff like that. You know, the stuff I get things like, "Can you help me with money?" To, "Can you get me out of jail?" To,
Yeah.
"Can I have that car?" And we're responsible for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because you end up looking after people who are close to you and don't have the
Yeah.
same
So it's
thing. But
not
I get a
easy.
lot of emails, and some of them you can tell they're genuine. I see the profile. You know, I can sieve of guys who are saying, if it wasn't for him in some of his videos, I was literally, she left me, I had this, I was suicidal, and I believe it. I can
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
from a man how he's written. I can tell a fake one who wants a selfie
Yeah.
to a real message, yeah, and how he feels confident. Some of his videos, the way he just goes, "Shut F her," like
Yeah.
his delivery helps men.
Yeah.
You'll think some people, women don't understand. It's men need that.
Yeah.
Men need that
They
kind of
need that
shouting,
tough
this,
love.
that, like the old football coach, the boxing manager,
Yeah.
Stalin, whatever, like that kind of autocratic. You know, like that is what
sure.
makes men move. Like,
Yeah.
like
For sure.
Saddam Hussein, you need those powerful figures. When they
Yeah.
go, look
Yeah.
at society.
Mm.
The iron fist goes, men just go.
But
"Alright."
I think that they need to realize that being a high value man isn't for everybody, and being with a high value man isn't for everything. If you're a girl, you know that being with a high value man is not always great. You don't get you don't get them on standby whenever
It's
you
not
want.
even that, I
It's
think
not
he's
always
portraying.
that.
I think he's
oh, yeah.
saying to get confidence.
Get confidence.
Get
yeah.
confidence. Don't feel
Be
like you're
fulfill your
what-
potential. Don't
be
have to be the
confident,
best, but
but
fulfill
don't
your potential.
Censor your world around chasing some woman or whatever.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to go before we soon wrap it up is,
Yeah.
all the viewers know you've been reverted to Islam and everything. Obviously, I know
Yeah.
the video went viral.
Yeah.
But how's your life changing anyway? How do you feel? I mean, it's been a bit of a while now.
Welcome
What's
to the
changed?
club.
Do you feel life changed? You feel a bit
The
relaxed? You feel more stressed?
yeah, the brotherhood is amazing.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I will say. You want to cure racism, Islam cures racism instantly. Like it's amazing, the brotherhood. That's certainly there. I certainly do feel more relaxed. I feel like I always had faith to a degree, so it's not like I'm brand new to the idea of faith, but I certainly feel more relaxed. I feel like a lot of the things which I knew were degenerate, but especially when you kind of get to fame was a weird thing, also to answer your question. When you're kind of on your way up to fame, or you're getting famous, or you're quite famous, you want to be in the place you're supposed to be, right? And then you get to a level of fame where you just don't want to go anywhere. It's just like, but a lot of things, it's great to look at things that previously I would have felt like for work I should be at, or for social, because people I know I should be at, and just go, haram, no. Haram, no, staying home. So that's good.
What's the hardest thing so far? Is there anything?
Nothing's been hard. I've
Okay.
quit alcohol. That hasn't been difficult.
Yeah.
But I've always had insane willpower, so I can do anything I want to I just feel like it's a journey. There's a lot to learn. It can be quite daunting. You know, like even the language, even Arabic, it's like it's very hard to learn. So I'm just on a journey like everyone else, and I'm trying to study it.
So give us some Arabic words. Let's hear some.
All I know so far is halas, because I use this is the easiest word, halas. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's very hard. So I'm doing my best with it. But I think, like I've explained before on other podcasts, it's the only religion that's left on the planet that has serious boundaries. I saw actually an Islamic guy, an Islamic podcaster, I don't know who he was, who said Tate reverted to Islam because it's intolerant, or because its degree of intolerance is because of its strict lines, and people are trying to walk away from it because of its strict lines, but Tate understands the beauty of strict lines. And that's exactly what it is. You need to have boundaries in life, like everything we just discussed. If you remove boundaries, it becomes a free-for-all, right? So you need to have boundaries.
No, that's a very good point he made, because I've not seen that. I like to watch that, because I speak to guys about Islam all the time, and young boys, and I see them trying to chase that Western kind of way of life. I want to be this, that. When you've got a guy who has it all in this world, like you say, he comes to Islam. So to all you young guys, feel ashamed. Like, don't feel shy or embarrassed to be what you are in a Muslim, and be proud. Like, I've always been that. I could be in a meeting, anywhere, everyone knows me, I won't touch alcohol, I'll pray in the corner. And I think a lot of Muslim women are tending to shy away, and I'm sorry, we need more women to put, like, they see it as it's kind of like controlling the hijab, when millions and millions of women wear the hijab willingly as a sign of empowerment. So I think men, we have like people to look. I think women are in a problem in a crossroads in life where there's no role models. They're chasing this hunky-dory stupid fairy tale. They're ashamed of being modest, and I've got 2 daughters, and I'm thinking which cave to move into when they're 16.
I think Russia. I would personally recommend Russia, but I think also you can't have it all. Like, you need to know that you cannot have it all. You know, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Life is all about, you know, there's a quote I love, which is, if you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice. You just got to do it. Like, if you want a nice body, you have to go to the gym, like, every single day. You know, nothing comes easy. Like, it's not like, okay, now we have Uber, we have Uber Eats, we have everything. Like, everything is now quick. You know, people need to understand that, like, things take time, and you have to sacrifice. You can't just get it easy, and
I think that's been a good discussion. It's good to see, let the audience see ourselves. This was not planned. No one's been paid. Both women,
just
different backgrounds, and they kind of support what Andrew says. So that shows that maybe the media are portraying lies and trying to cancel him for a reason. Who knows?
Yeah.
I know. Should I do it? Should I end the podcast? Exactly why they're trying to fucking cancel me? I'll tell you. They're trying to cancel me not because of the things I'm saying, because the things I'm saying are understood. In fact, in most of the world today, like you said, they're widely accepted. And even in the Western world, in the heart of the failed societies, 20 years ago, everything I say would be considered as a fact. They're trying to cancel me not because of what I say, but because of the mass amount of influence I have. They look at me and they say, young boys listen to Andrew more than they listen to all the other propaganda mechanisms we've constructed. They don't listen to the people in school who are telling them bullshit. They don't listen to the other YouTubers that we prop up that tell them bullshit. They're listening to Andrew, and they're thinking for themselves. And they're scared. This is the #1 demographic on the planet that the people in charge of the world are afraid of. Because when you send men to die in a ditch, you need young military-age males. And when young military-age males rebel against the system, that rebellion is a revolution. If thousands of men get in a group on the street, governments change. Women get in the street, no one cares. Pink hats, don't give a shit. Not interested. It's going to get cold, they'll go home. But the men, it's different. And they're scared. They're scared of young military-age men uniting against the control mechanisms of the Matrix, and they see me as the person who's doing that. Aristotle had to kill himself. Socrates killed himself after being arrested. He was arrested for corrupting the youth by convincing them not to join the army. He ended up committing suicide. It's the same thing with me. They tried to cancel me because of my influence. So I'm saying this now so everybody knows at home that I would never, ever, under any circumstances, no matter what they say, kill myself. Ever! So
that's
We'll
hilarious.
see how it goes.
Did you know that I was in England recently? I used to be a teacher, but one of my teacher friends said to me, in PHSC lessons, which is like those they're teaching them not to listen to Andrew Tate.
Yeah, oh no, I know this.
Did you know that?
Sorry, someone
I was
sent me
so
that. I thought it was a
shocked.
prank.
No, she told me.
Kids are sending
she
it to
showed
me
me
arguing.
the lesson.
They're saying, can you say something? I'm like, is this a Photoshop?
No, she showed me her lesson
You're in the
plan. It was
curriculum.
like how to.
I'm in the curriculum.
Come
Ignore
on.
this man. Ignore this man because this man.
Yeah.
And what do I teach? I teach personal responsibility, personal accountability, resist the slave slave mind. Think for yourself. Train hard. Like, what do I say that's negative compared to all of the music stars singing about drugs, rape, murder, kill?
Yeah.
Lil Nas is dancing on the devil in his music videos. All of this is fine, but when you come along and say think for yourself and don't accept the Matrix programming at face value, then you must go. Then you're an enemy of the system.
Also, I just have to say you're wrong about nothing happens when if all the women go to the straight, because y'all not gonna have anything to eat for dinner. You know what I mean?
It's true. Sorry.
Anyway, just also want to thank you, like Tam,
thank
so
you
much for
guys.
giving us a platform, and also, you know, like backing up your friend Andrew Tate.
No, I'm
you know.
just like, I'm straight. We know each other a long time, and you can't sway. When men have, like, you can never, like I've told Anna many times, or other people, give me $1 billion cash to denounce Islam, I won't. $1 billion cash, fill up this room. A lot of people will be like, yeah, you know, you can never do it. You can never make me sway another way. And I've been like that, and he's like that, and that's why certain people get along, because you have the same kind
Have
of
you guys
thing.
known each other for a while?
Been around the circle.
Stop, how
It
long?
was the 1960s.
What was he like before all of this?
He's always been around. I always see him popping up somewhere. Yeah? But you can tell a man's character when they fight. And I remember when I first saw him, he's younger than me. And he was lean and tall, and he fought a few of the tough guys on the circuit. And you could never beat, like, he'd always go to the end. We had an Iranian guy he fought who was a notorious guy, Reza. He was on the streets wrecking, I don't want to say his name, in jail, feared, 6-second knockouts. And he was about 8, I don't know how old he was.
18.
18.
And I remember that fight because I was really sick that
Having
week.
a war with one of the toughest guys.
Not,
Not only in
not
the
professional fight, like
Professional.
Oh, professional.
But
Okay.
This guy was feared. Like literally, this
Right.
guy fought Jimmy Manuwa, who was like a UFC fight on that level in those
Okay.
days. Ahead of his time, feared out of jail. Good friend of mine, you know, but a complete nutcase. And he was hanging there, and you look at him, you think, no, what? This is a mismatch. And they're going to war. But you'd have to kill him. What makes it? And I remember then, everyone would book him then, because so when you see a guy in a fight, you can see a lot about him.
Right.
You can't hide under the lights of the ring. You know,
Right.
there's an old saying: all the training comes out when you're in that ring. So you
Right.
can't be a world champion and be a clown, or it takes a lot of things. A lot of men will never understand or feel. And I always say to every man, you want to feel the ultimate feeling, apart from having kids, of course, but being a Muslim, but is winning a fight.
100%.
I don't care who you are. Money, drugs. You
Primal.
say it.
Really?
There's
primal.
no
It's
feeling.
instinctive,
There's
right?
no
Like-
feeling to any man winning a fight. Put your hands up. The people. I'm not lying. It's from the beginning of time, from wars, from Khalid bin Walid to Genghis Khan to Alexander.
Power, yeah.
And
Napoleon.
losing has the same negative effect.
Negative
like,
effect,
it's
but
like
then
depression.
it's the hunger of going back.
Okay.
It differentiates the men from the boys as
Right.
well. But any man who steps in that ring or cage, you respect their warriors, because it takes a lot. We were saying that we went to an arena the other day to watch a game, but that feeling of you're backstage getting wrapped, you hear someone's been knocked out, you're next, the cheers, it's like this tunnel, it's like the Coliseum. Doesn't matter where you fight. And it's an alpha male thing, and that's why men and women are different. And to every guy out there, you have to experience it once.
Yeah.
It changes your life. Yeah, every man needs his ass kicked once in his life to be a man, in my opinion. Yeah. And the guys who are cocky, stupid, and Larry, and all these guys who are against him have never had a fight in their life or been hit.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Speaking of the World Cup, I mean, we're talking about sports. It's happening now in Qatar. Do you think Cristiano is gonna retire?
I think for $4 million a week, no. For what I'm hearing in Saudi, and I think he can do what he wants. I respect him. I like him as a man, legend of the sport. I think everyone's day comes in sport. Like
How old is he now?
37, 36, but for
37,
football. It's like Andrew, I get calls all the time, and I'm the one saying to him, don't fight. For what? You're a world champion, you're wealthy. Guys who fight are broke. I'm being honest, like, it's a passion to an age, and then when you keep fighting, you
Then
see
it's
these
a paycheck.
ex-pros, it's a paycheck.
Yeah.
You can tell me all you want, they're fighting for a paycheck, you don't need
you
to.
lose your legacy like that.
It's all about legacy. It's hard to wake up from silk sheets and go running in the morning. There's an old saying.
He's got 2 daughters. That legacy is
Yeah,
that's
and
a beautiful legacy.
that's the thing. But Cristiano hasn't got nothing to prove. Now it's about business and money. He can do what he wants. But for my point about the Qatar World Cup is the West is racist and biases. It's just got to
But
stop.
they showed themselves though, because so many positive things have come out of Qatar. They showed themselves.
I think
I'm
that
glad
they're
that
an
they did
example.
this,
I think for now, alcohol at stadium should be banned, because I was there at a game, English and Welsh, normally with cocaine and alcohol there, someone's getting bottled, headbutted, someone loses. There was no violence. Everyone got on.
Beautiful.
The place is safe, and I think that's a testimony to the GCC and the government of Qatar. Their stance, they stood firmly against that rainbow agenda. They took the stick, and I respect that. A lot of people would have caved in and gone, okay, let's put flags everywhere, let's put rainbows, and let's heal the world. They said no, and the West can say what they want, but I respect them. As a
Yeah.
nation, I really...
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, 2 points about that. One, we just said it, or you just made the point earlier that by restricting things and removing things, life can be better if you actually place boundaries. And we just talked about it with the alcohol in stadiums. That's a perfect example of it. And also to tie into what we were saying earlier about agendas and how the Matrix are doing things on purpose. What the fuck has football got to do with this agenda they're trying to push?
Insane.
They're completely unrelated. They've just taken something popular, the most popular sport in the world, and they've taken one of their agendas they've tried, and they've just fucking stuck them together and said, fuck you. And it's bullshit.
It's
It's garbage. It's insanity. It's nothing to do with each other.
The halftime will be spent talking about LGBT issues.
It's nothing to do with each other.
I didn't even realize it was football on. I just thought it was an LGBT program.
Matrix
and then
programming.
I realized,
Matrix programming. They're trying very hard. Matrix programming. And like I
and they're winning in that regard. They've indoctrinated most of the world. But who's your money on today? Morocco or France?
I'm praying for Morocco.
Let's pray for Morocco. Can we pray
For sure.
for Morocco? Let's pray for Morocco.
It'll be
Inshallah.
historical, but...
Paris is getting set on fire either. Paris is burning.
For sure.
If you have a Lambo in Paris, put it in the garage.
I feel sorry
'Cause
for
this- yeah,
Parisians
it's done.
tonight.
Yeah.
It's done.
Marbella was
Alas.
lucky.
It's going to be a nightmare tonight. But
No.
inshallah, let's see. But it's
No.
still good that they got this far.
Oh, it's amazing.
amazing,
And
yeah.
even though football, we don't really care for football. Let's be
It's
honest.
not your sport, not your thing.
For me, individual sports, like we said, for me, the ultimate sport is fighting. From the beginning of time, for the Greco-Romans, Spartans, mano a mano. For me, that's the only sport. Football is good and things, but listen,
You
there's
can
no
take it or
sport
leave
like
it.
combat.
Of course.
And like when you're younger, like I remember I was young, you go to a club, there's like Ronaldo, Gaza, Lineker. But when Mike Tyson's sitting in a corner, everyone's like, wow,
Yeah.
alpha. He can beat everyone up. He's rich as Tyson. Ronaldo wants a selfie.
Yeah.
Khabib comes. There's a different
All the
watching.
movie stars go to the big boxing matches for
Yes.
a reason.
Yeah.
Every man watching or kid will say you can have any sports star. Djokovic, I mean, who cares? All right, nice guy, but Djokovic is over there. That's great. There's Mayweather. There's Khabib. Fighting has this thing as kids. We liked He-Man. We liked WWF. We liked Rocky Balboa. It's instilled in them since the day beginning of birth. So you can't change that.
Yeah.
As much as you want to push an agenda to wear a skirt or play with Barbie,
Yeah.
men love He-Man. Tough to survive. I'm the hardest. Since in the back of school parks, you're fighting. I'm the strongest. I am. Headlock punching your brother.
Yeah.
And I know we're supposed to be wrapping up, but that is innate and it's biological, and that's what they're attacking. That's what's
Yeah.
happening here. They're trying to attack that and say that that's not the idea of masculinity. You don't have to be that way, etc. And the point I want to make about all of this, the final point about it, is how dangerous that truly is, because this idea of masculinity being under attack and people saying that, men don't have to be real men. They don't have to stand up and do what they're supposed to do and have a hard time. They can be more emotional and be softer, etc. Do you know what you get when you get men who can't control their emotions? Violence.
Yeah.
Every school shooter, every fucking rapist, every
And
murderer.
Shut up, but
These
you're
are men
spot
who
on.
cannot control their emotions.
You're
You
right.
tell a man, I say the part of being a man is acting the right way regardless of how you feel. Whether you're happy, sad, you have to act
Yeah.
like a man's supposed to because of your honor and duty. And society is saying, no, you can act how you feel as a man. That creates murderous, rapists, school shooters, and idiots.
And domestic violence.
And
is
domestic
also-
violence.
Domestic violence is
She
the biggest
pissed you
concept.
off.
Yeah.
You better keep it
punching her in
chill.
the throat.
You
Yeah,
know
it's like it's
telling men
domestic
not to
violence.
control themselves. You can see
Yeah.
very quickly how society will degrade.
Yeah.
Very quickly. It's all garbage and it's done on purpose. And you wonder why crime rates are through the roof. And bro, shaitan. I'm never going back to the West. I'm staying here.
No, honestly, I think, you're right. You spotted those. The West doesn't like it.
Yeah.
The people that don't like it have an agenda. It's a fact, because I've gone through hours. I was thinking, what was so bad what he said? I literally had to look at everything they said. I was like, huh? Like, there's much worse, like you say. Cardi B's last song, it's gone off topic. It plays on Chris Freida's Radio Virgin.
First thing in the morning.
No,
as
it's
well.
like, I am, everything's dubbed. Why are you playing the song?
Yeah.
No, listening to it on radio, it's all dubbed. That's how
Yeah.
vulgar it is. And Western society said, we don't like gangs, we don't like violence, we don't like gun culture, but yet they'll pay millions of dollars for a rapper to come and perform on stage in England,
Yeah.
and they'll promote it. So you don't know what you're doing yourself.
Well, thank God for Dubai, I guess.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah for
Dubai.
Islam.
Best city in the world. I was in London for 6 months over the summer, and I was literally
I'm
like,
sorry for you.
I was
apologize.
so depressed, and then as soon as I landed, I have to say this: Dubai is the best city. You love it, right?
Hands down.
It's the best. I can't believe I get to live here. I've been here a couple of years, and I still can't believe I get to live in such an amazing city. It's the best,
Hands down.
especially
No,
as
but
a
that's
woman.
a testimony to the leadership.
Yeah,
you can have money, you
absolutely.
can have countries. Leaders make countries. Leaders make
incredible.
cities. And his vision, he's made it a safe haven. It's safe. It's got money. It's got the best of everything.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, safety, the way to make money, the tax. I mean, I was in a restaurant the other day. I saw him. He has no security. You can greet him. You can't if you saw Boris Johnson in a restaurant, he's going to have 5,000 people around him. People are going to shout wanker at him. No one cares for him. The sheikh drives around on his own, shakes hands with people, gives what you want. I've seen people go up to him saying, my wife's sick or I can't do this, and they look after you. So that's why the people love him as a leader, because he looks after the people, hence the community's right, the safety is good, and you need more countries like the Arab world in the world. I think the whole world will be better.
You nailed it.
Yeah, that's
you spent 6 solid months in London.
I know. I was so depressed. I couldn't believe this was my life. And as soon as I landed, like this, it was instant antidepressant. As soon as you land, so you don't have depression. You just live in London.
That's right.
Just move.
I'm not going to get into that one with him now about depression, because people will come hit me with that
You
one.
don't have depression. Just move. Khayallah, come on. Let's just move. It's amazing.
Thanks again.
Thank you guys. Thank
and our
you.
special guest. I wanted to do this purely because a lot of people say it's always guys. You always sit with guys with Andrew. Say it's all guys, and wallahi, as a Muslim, nothing was pre-planned here. I didn't tell him to say anything, and I just wanted to prove a point that it's all fake. Women also support the system. There are women out there who understand how life should be, and I think you guys should speak up more. You are, but I think they're not giving you a platform. But it's good to give you a platform and speak up more, because then they can't use the whole misogynist, sexist kind of angle, you know. So thank you again, and
thank you guys.
Stay tuned for the next episode.
Thank you.